And it's an interview we did with Claire Foord last year, and Claire spoke to us ahead of, I think it was the City to Bay at the time.
Yes.
It was about that time of year, regarding raising awareness. And it was an event conducted by her organisation, Still Aware. Now, we spoke to Claire last year about the founding of Still Aware, and it was to raise awareness about stillbirth after she lost her son. And the statistics are staggering. And Claire, I know you send me stuff that has the data on it, and it never gets less surprising. I mean, 2,500 babies born still in Australia each year, which is one family every 4 hours.
In Australia.
Good afternoon to you, by the way.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming in.
No, thank you, Will. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we get a bit of an update on how you guys are going? Because that was one of the first bigger events you were sort of doing towards the end of last year, certainly the first time we'd sort of met and talked about this. How's it going since?
Look, that was 7 months after Alfie's birth.
Yeah.
And look, I was very encouraged by people wanting to walk for awareness at the City to Bay. Shortly after that, in November, we actually had our first fundraising event, which was at the Adelaide Zoo, and it was hosted by Quality Training International, who donated all of the food and service, which was incredible, and that gave us a really good kickstart to be able to promote the event. It was an invitation event. We didn't do any marketing because we didn't have to. It sold out within 2 weeks for just under 200 people to come along.
Yeah.
And it was an extraordinary event. We raised over $62,000. So
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's great, as you say, it's only been a year old.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
to a degree, that's what we're talking about today, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this time last year, I was in hospital, about to give birth to my, beautiful daughter, Alfie, and little did I know that I was walking into the hospital and I'd be walking out with a baby that wasn't breathing. So, or with lack of that baby, if that makes sense. Instead of walking out with her, she, went with the funeral director. To think of where I was last year and where I should be now, based on where I wanted to be, look, there's some really positive things happening with Still Aware, which is incredible. But I had no idea that this is where I would be 12 months down the track after my daughter's birth. So I'm very, very thankful for the support we've received, but there's an enormous amount of work that we've got to do in terms of raising awareness for stillbirth in Australia, because it is, it's not rare, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's frighteningly, whatever the opposite rare, it's frighteningly common.
Yeah.
The year mark is the genesis of what I think is a really wonderful idea that you've come up with.
Yeah, so we're actually, our next event is called Birthday for Babies, and this actually happened. Brad and I, my husband and I, were sitting down, and I said, look, the 12th of February, so tomorrow, is going to be a tough day regardless of what we're doing. We should be organising our daughter's first birthday and having a family field event. And look, the first birthday is normally for the parents.
Absolutely. And friends.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so we should be having a really joyous occasion, and instead, I'm sure tomorrow morning, we'll be gathered, just the two of us, around her grave, giving her flowers and probably a little present. And it's quite a morbid experience, and that I can't take that away. And I think of my daughter every day, regardless. However, what we did decide to do is, I thought, how many other parents are out there? Well, clearly, families and people and friends of over 2,500 babies each year in Australia alone that are perhaps feeling the same way about when they celebrate or commemorate their baby's birth, and coincidentally their death as well, which is, I think I said last time, just an unfathomable thing to put together in the same event. But this Birthday for Babies is for all babies that have been lost to stillbirth and who can't be here to celebrate their birthdays, be it their first birthday, their 5th birthday, their 35th birthday. And we, it's at Partridge House at Glenelg from 5 till 8, so it's a twilight event. And it's Birthday for Babies at Alfies Butterfly Market. So the whole idea is to have a really nice event we've got some fabulous store holders from, people selling Harris Street farm boxes. It's all harvested home goods and lovely homemade baskets and things, and jewellery stalls in Tassie Design and JS Designs and El Hill, and plenty of things. Soy by Sam, soy candles and things like that. So there's a lovely market environment as well, and we're encouraging people to bring a blanket and a basket of food to enjoy a picnic. And then at 6:30 p.m. will be quite a integral part of the night, because that's actually when we're going to have a live butterfly release, and people can buy a butterfly for their baby, in remembrance of their child, or in remembrance of somebody that they have lost, and release that butterfly into the gardens at Partridge House. And it's for everyone. It's for the community at large. It's a free event to raise awareness about stillbirth and the fact that this happens, but also a support event for those families who need, it's a commemorative event for those babies that deserve to be celebrated. And hopefully, it will be an annual event, and this is the first of its kind, happening tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
It's a wonderful idea, and look, it doesn't surprise me that you've had great success towards the end of last year, and I'm sure this will be huge as well, because there was kind of, and maybe you can comment on this, the two types of people spoke to me about our chat last year. There were those that had been through it, amazing number, who had never heard anyone else speak to it. Literally said, I went through it, I didn't know how to talk to my friends about it, and I've never spoke to someone else. So from that point of view, I can see, wow, you've hit on an area where God knows how many people have been through this and lived like that forever. And then there was the other group, of which I'm a party, that went, I didn't know how often this went on, and I can't believe...
And I was one of those people.
Yeah, and you can't believe that there wasn't something there. There wasn't you there for you, if you know, in a funny way.
Yeah, and look, that's the reason Stillbirth started, to be honest, Will. If it was there, I think that Alfie would be here, which is... a terribly hard thing to think about, but it's something that drives it. I'm doing this for my daughter and for all of those babies out there that have been lost to stillbirth. And I think I mentioned to you before, the support post-event is terrific now.
Yep.
But the awareness pre-event is appalling. It really is. And so we are talking about it. It has been and it continues to be so a taboo subject that people feel uncomfortable about. But I stress that it shouldn't be something that is not talked about and not something that's shared, because these babies were real babies, and 60% of those babies, there is nothing wrong with them, and they really should be here with us. And it shouldn't be 1 in 135 births that end in stillbirth. It should be far, far less than that.
Yeah.
And by raising awareness, I believe that we can create change, through raising awareness of some of the things that you can do to monitor your own baby and know what they are doing prior to birth, which it comes down to, in some respect, the movement of your baby. If you can keep an eye on what your baby is doing, and you have a regular movement pattern with your child that you can monitor every day, that has been proven to have alleviated adverse outcome of pregnancy. In Norway, for example, there's new statistics there. They've reduced their stillbirth rates by 50%, which is extraordinary.
Wow.
Just by monitoring a baby's movements, the mother monitoring a baby's movements. And that literally is taking time each day to spend time with your child, and to get to know them, to get to know their movement pattern and respond accordingly. So if the movements, decrease all of a sudden, or if they increase dramatically, that you call your doctor and don't feel uncomfortable about saying, I need a hand with this. I need somebody to check me out and make sure everything's okay, and not feeling silly to do that. And it's just changing that, perspective. And look, honestly, I think we can do it if mothers themselves can take this on board and then talk to their practitioners about it. The practitioners know about it. They know about counting the kicks. They know about movement monitoring. It's just, I'm not sure why they don't share the information up front. They do ask, is your baby moving? Things like that. But to be specific and say, how do I know if my baby's moving enough? It would be great to have that information. And we've now got some literature which we're hoping to see put into, practitioners' rooms and medical professionals' rooms, as well as prenatal classes and things like that we're hoping to get out there into the community at large, but also to the medical, area too.
So if people would like to get involved?
Yeah. And look, honestly, I have had some fabulous people say, I want to do something. I want to,
Yeah.
I want to be part of this. But, Will, you mentioned that a lot of people find it very hard to talk about stillbirth. And look, there are so many of them that do, find it difficult. And I have found that I have asked people to share their story with stillaware.org, and us to be able to share that and create a human interaction so people realise these babies are real children, but they really struggle with sharing their story. It's too hard and too heartbreaking to bring up. I've said to you last time, the more I talk about the stats and the information, it's far easier than actually talking about my daughter and the fact that she should be here. I'm constantly, even just talking now, holding, swallowing back tears. It's hard because this time last year I was in hospital and I'd just been told that there wasn't a heartbeat, that she was no longer going to be my little angel on earth. Instead, she'd be chasing butterflies in the sky. So it's very hard to live with, and it's something that lives with you forever. She is my husband and my daughter, and always will be our firstborn, regardless of what the future holds for us.
Claire, I think you're an amazing person. Thank you so much for coming in again. The work you do is just tremendous, and especially against the backdrop. And then, tomorrow, hosting an event on a day that, as you say, is going to be bloody tough. I think you're incredible. And thank you for coming in again, and thank you for the work you do. I think it's just wonderful.
No, I appreciate you talking, Will. Thank you so much.